At the July summit, we declared that Ukraine's path to NATO membership is irreversible. And for the first time, NATO established a command dedicated to support Ukraine's membership. Last time I was here, 9 countries had completed bilateral security agreements with Ukraine. Now that number is 26 and counting, including, of course, the United States and the United Kingdom. That will provide a foundation of support for Ukraine's defense for years to come. And Ukraine's defense industrial base has grown 6-fold in the last year alone. In the coming years, that's going to give Ukraine one of the most advanced defense industries in the world, and it will be able to take that to the global market and take global market share away from other countries like Russia, and also supply NATO allies.
This is my video update on this Thursday afternoon, September the 12th. Let's talk about some news. And let's start things off with Blinken in Kiev. The U.S. Secretary of State was in Kiev with the UK Foreign Minister, Lamy, and with the UK Foreign Minister was Ukraine's ambassador to the UK, former General of the Ukraine Armed Forces, Zaluzhny, and also the man that the Wall Street Journal claims coordinated the Nord Stream pipeline sabotage, but he was also in Ukraine, and the rumor was that Blinken and Lamy were going to tell Zelensky on this trip that the U.S. and the U.K., they are giving the Ukraine military permission to launch long-range missile strikes into pre-2014 Russian territory. That is what the reports were telling us ahead of the trip from Blinken and Lamy. And what we actually got during this trip is Blinken not quite officially giving the okay to Ukraine to launch long-range missile strikes into Russia, hinting that the approval will come, but not officially giving the approval. And according to The Guardian, we got the UK giving the approval to Ukraine to launch Storm Shadows into Russian territory. That was the outcome of the visit to Kiev. Now, Blinken, he told the media in a statement that he will be going back to the U.S. and discussing with Biden the green lighting of missile strikes into Russian territory after meeting with Zelensky and seeing what the situation is in Ukraine. Blinken said that the U.S. was always ready to adapt its strategies when it came to Project Ukraine. And he also said that Biden will be speaking with Keir Starmer, I believe, on Friday, and they are going to discuss the U.S.'s approval of using U.S. long-range missiles, ATACMS, JASSMs, and other U.S. weapons to hit Russian territory, pre-2014 Russian territory. So Biden and Starmer, the most boring man in politics, possibly the most boring man in the entire world, they are going to discuss long-range missile strikes into Russia. The Guardian is saying the UK has already approved this. Starmer, I guess, is going to try and convince Biden to also approve U.S. strikes into Russia, U.S. weapons being used by the UK, by the Ukraine military, if you believe that, to hit Russian territory. We all know that the Ukraine military is not capable of launching long-range missiles into Russian territory, and the United States and the UK, they're going to be doing the targeting, the surveillance, pretty much everything that is needed to launch those missiles into Russian territory. What is effectively a U.S.-UK attack on Russia is what we're talking about. And the narrative is that Biden, this is the narrative that we're being told. Blinken's going to go back to the U.S., discuss it with Biden. Stammer, the most boring man in the world, he is going to discuss it with Biden. And the narrative that we're being told is that Biden is not well enough up here. He's not well enough in the cabeza to run for re-election, but he's okay to decide if the United States is going to attack Russia. That's the narrative that we're being told. Oh man. So what else did Blinken say when he was in Kiev? He said that Ukraine's path to NATO is inevitable. That is what he said. It's inevitable that Ukraine is going to enter NATO. You may want to ask Russia about that one, Blinken, but that is what he said. Blinken, he also said that last time he was in Ukraine, he said 9 countries completed bilateral security agreements with Ukraine. Quote, now that number is 26 and counting, including, of course, the United States and the UK. That will provide a foundation of support for Ukraine's defense for years to come. The last time Blinken was in Kiev, he went out on the town, hit the bars, hit the clubs, and he picked up a guitar and played Rocking in the Free World. But now he's saying that that last time it was 9 countries with non-binding, useless, meaningless bilateral security agreements with Ukraine, and now that number is 26 and counting. 26 countries now have meaningless, non-binding security agreements with Ukraine. Blinken also said that Ukraine's defense industrial base, and this is a quote, has grown 6-fold in the last year alone. In the coming years, that's going to give Ukraine one of the most advanced defense industries in the world, and it will be able to take that to the global market and take global market share away from other countries like Russia, and also supply NATO allies. Yeah, all right. Ukraine is going to build this massive military industrial complex, right? That's what they're going to do, build a massive MIC. And this MIC is going to be so big, so powerful, that it is going to take market share away from Russia, right? And Russia's not going to destroy any of these Ukraine factories either, okay? So keep that in mind. These Ukraine factories are going to be pumping out fighter jets and tanks and artillery and nukes and missiles and drones, you name it. They're going to be cranking it out, and Russia's going to leave them alone. Or maybe these factories will be beneath the earth, deep towards the core of the earth, so that Russia can't get to these factories. Anyway, Ukraine's going to build this huge, we're talking Silicon Valley type of military industry, of which Russia's not going to touch, and they're going to supply NATO. Not only are they going to take market share away from Russia, but they're going to give back all of the weapons that NATO has given to Ukraine. All the NATO member states that have been demilitarized, they don't have to worry at all, because Ukraine's they're gonna pay it back. They're gonna give the weapons back to NATO. It's freaking nonsense, man. Blinken is talking nonsense. Look, Blinken, he doesn't want the conflict to end. It's obvious. Blinken, the neolibs, the neocons, they want to keep this conflict going. Austin in Germany, he pretty much tapped out. Let's be honest. The Pentagon in Austin, they pretty much tapped out of Project Ukraine. Austin told Zelensky, look, we're not going to green light U.S. weapons hitting Russia. It's not going to happen. You're not going to use ATACMS to hit Russia. And Austin told Zelensky, basically what he told Zelensky is you have drones. Ukraine has their own drones. They could hit Russia if they want, but don't come to us. And we don't even have the ATACMS. That's what Austin said. We don't even have the ATACMS to give to you. We're not going to give you permission. And you guys have your own drones, so you can do whatever you want. That is what Austin said. 3-4 days ago in Germany. So that's the Pentagon's position. But the Department of State, they want this war to continue. So Blinken is pushing. He is pushing for the green light from Biden, if you believe that, to launch U.S. weapons, long-range missiles into Russia. So what else? The Telegraph is running an article. NATO needs to unite in support of Ukraine. Kiev wants to take the fight fully to Russia and needs our backing to do so. Why? My question to the Telegraph is why? Why does NATO have to support Ukraine? Is Ukraine in NATO? No. Are they a member of NATO? No. So why exactly does NATO have to support Ukraine? What's the reasoning? I don't know. The UK, I thought the UK was broke. I thought the UK was broke. I thought the Starmer government, they came out with a statement about a month ago or 2 months ago, and they said that they're, 20 billion in the hole or something like that. Well, they delivered 600 million to Zelensky on this trip. They gave Zelensky a bag of cash, 600 million pounds worth of support for Ukraine. That is what they delivered to Zelensky. So the Wall Street Journal, they are running an article with the title, Ukraine Pressed to Think About a Plan B for War with Russia. So this is the Pentagon speaking, right? This is the Pentagon via the Wall Street Journal saying, look, you're not winning this war. You better come up with a plan B. The Wall Street Journal says, as Russia advances, Western officials want Kiev to spell out realistic war goals. This is the Pentagon saying we need to wind this thing down. After all, we got a war with Iran to prepare for, and right around the corner, and we've got a war with China to prepare for. So we need to wrap up Project Ukraine. We've lost this conflict, but let's try to spin it as some sort of a stalemate. But it's over. That's the Pentagon. The Department of State is saying, no. We got to keep this thing going. So an interesting article from the Wall Street Journal. Forbes, David Axe, they have an article with the title, Ukraine has run out of modern vehicles for the new brigades it's forming. No modern vehicles for Ukraine. NATO has no modern vehicles to give to Ukraine as they're forming new brigades. That's what this article is basically saying. NATO has run out of fighting vehicles, modern fighting vehicles to give to Ukraine. So Ukraine's going to form these new brigades without fighting vehicles. The new 154th Mechanized Brigade mostly has vehicles from the 1960s. Maybe it shouldn't be called the Mechanized Brigade. Maybe they should call it the Unmechanized Brigade. I don't know, man. From the 1960s. The Financial Times, they ran an article the other day saying that, I think it's the UK. The UK sent old weapons to Ukraine as well. They were dumping all kinds of old weapons from their inventory to Ukraine. They've all been demilitarized, man. But don't worry, according to Blinken, Ukraine's going to build big factories, big military factories, and they're going to supply NATO with weapons. Trust in Blinken. Trust the Blinken. Blinken would never, ever lie, would he? Never, ever, ever. So while Blinken and Lamy were in Ukraine, Zelensky was also hosting the Crimea conference. And I believe the countries from the EU that went to the Crimea conference were Croatia, I want to say Lithuania and Latvia. And basically this conference is a conference where they talk about how they're going to capture Crimea. That's the conference. And they also talk about the Crimean Tatars and how Russia is oppressing them and stuff like that. And that's his conference. I imagine that they have these events and these conferences in Kiev because they're well funded. That's my guess. That's why they have these little fantasy conferences talking about capturing Crimea, because they probably get money from the U.S. State Department or from U.S. NGOs to hold these events. I think it was Lithuania, either Lithuania or Latvia, the president of Lithuania or Latvia, who said that they're going to support Ukraine for like 1,000 years. They're never going to stop not supporting Ukraine. Anyway, that was the Crimea conference. By the way, Erdogan, he put out a video statement for this event, and Erdogan, he basically said that Crimea should go to Ukraine. That is what Erdogan said during his video statement. Ursula also put out a video statement. She also talked about, Van der Crazy talked about how Crimea should go back to Ukraine. How Crimea will go back to Ukraine, and the EU is going to support Ukraine forever and ever and ever. And what else? And stuff like that. And Crimea is part of Ukraine, and the EU is never going to forget it. And they'll never recognize Crimea under Russia. But the big story is Erdogan. Erdogan, in a video statement, saying that Crimea, under international law, is Ukraine territory. That's pretty much what Erdogan said. Erdogan is always walking that line, right? He's always being clever, walking that line between Russia, China, BRICS, and the U.S. and Europe and NATO. That's not a good move. You can do it for a while, and Erdogan has been doing it for a long time, and he's been getting away with it. But sooner or later, you walk that tightrope, you're gonna fall. You're either gonna fall or you're gonna get crushed. And this was a pretty provocative statement from Erdogan. I imagine Russia's gonna brush it off, and I imagine Erdogan, he may have even called Russia and said, "Look, I've got this video I'm gonna put out there. Don't be alarmed, guys, but I'm gonna have to talk about Crimea and the Tatars and their connection to Turkey and Crimea and Ukraine. I'm going to have to do this because the U.S. is on my back." So I imagine he's taken a calculated risk that Russia's not going to be upset. They're going to understand why Erdogan is saying stuff like this, and he's going to buy some space and time from the collective West pressuring Turkey. Anyway, it's interesting to hear Erdogan talk about territorial integrity and international law. Maybe he should take a look at Cyprus before he starts talking about Crimea and Russia. But that's Erdogan's statement. Caught the attention of a lot of people, what Erdogan said. And I think that's it. That is Blinken in Kiev. That is Blinken's trip, meeting with Zelensky. Zelensky got dressed up, man. He got dressed up, everybody. He wore his best black T-shirt or black long sleeve is what he wore. Nice black long sleeve. Not a tie, not a suit, but, it's an improvement. You're getting there, Zelensky. You're getting there. Man. Anyway, let's move on. Let's move on from this topic. And Iran, the foreign minister is denying the story about ballistic missiles to Russia. Officially denying it, or at least posting on Twitter X a denial. That's interesting. I didn't see that one coming. That's an interesting development. So Iran, their foreign minister is saying, no, we did not send short-range ballistic missiles to Russia. This is false information. People that are spreading this false information are trying to provoke a war. Meanwhile, we have all kinds of U.S. media outlets, Blinken as well, saying that they are 100% positive that Iran sent ballistic missiles to Russia. Actually, the UK they said, Lamy said in a statement that the reason that the UK is green lighting long-range missile strikes into Russia is because Iran is sending missiles to Russia, which is just a nonsense excuse, huh? Because Iran is sending short-range missiles to Russia, or is giving short-range missiles to Russia, the UK is going to allow Ukraine to strike Russian territory with Storm Shadow missiles. That's what Lamy said. Just a bunch of bollocks. That's the excuse that he's using. The UK really wants to provoke a war with Russia. They really want to provoke Russia. And Blinken wants to provoke Russia, right? I bet you that Blinken and the neocons and the neolibs, they know that this is Russia's red line. And I wouldn't be surprised if they're calculating that if they can get some long-range missiles through to hit deep inside of Russia, 300 kilometers is basically the range that they have to go with. 300 kilometers is an ATACMS. 350, 400 kilometers is JASSM. And the Storm Shadows are about 350 kilometers. They're betting that if they can get one missile through Russian air defense systems, one or two missiles through, and cause chaos inside of Russia, they're calculating that Putin is not going to retaliate. And if Putin doesn't retaliate, I put money on it that they're betting that if Putin doesn't retaliate, then hardliners in the Kremlin are going to be very upset with Putin, and this is going to erode his power. That's what they're betting on. They're betting that the hardliners are going to be upset with Putin. That's what they're banking on. Not the liberal Russians. They're banking on the hardliners possibly removing Putin, which is just stupid and nonsense. But you got to think like these guys. You got to think like a villain in a movie, right? If Putin retaliates, if Russia retaliates hard, like say a couple of missiles get through, and they cause damage and chaos, God help us, but they cause a lot of chaos in Russia. If Russia retaliates hard against Kiev, then for the neocons, what do they care? They really don't care about Ukraine. They have no problem seeing Russia really retaliate hard against Ukraine, and then they'll have the media run stories about how evil Russia is, and they'll go to place more sanctions. They'll lobby India and Brazil to try and go along with the sanctions, stuff like that. Maybe they'll try to launch the missiles during the BRICS summit, and maybe they'll try to get a reaction from Russia during the BRICS summit in Kazan. They always like to provoke Russia when Russia's hosting events, like when they were hosting the Sochi Olympics or when they had the World Cup. But for them, they say, you know what, if Putin does retaliate hard, then we'll just get the media to pile on Russia and talk about how evil they are. And if Russia doesn't retaliate to this provocation, to this escalation, then they're betting on the hardliners coming out against Putin. That's probably how they see things. That's the logic inside of their villain minds. Anyway, Iran. Let's get back to Iran. So Iran is saying, no, we did not send ballistic missiles to Russia. We did not give ballistic missiles to Russia. Let me see if I've got the quote from the Iranian foreign minister. He posted on X on Wednesday. Araghchi is the new foreign minister of Iran. He said that the U.S. and its allies were acting on false information and false logic. Iran has not delivered ballistic missiles to Russia, period, he wrote. Sanction addicts should ask themselves, how is Iran able to make and supposedly sell sophisticated arms? Sanctions are not the solution, but part of the problem, he concluded. I don't know. It doesn't seem like a very convincing denial, does it? Anyway, that's what he wrote on X. Russia, the Kremlin, Peskov, this is coming from RT, they still have not denied the claim that Iran gave them ballistic missiles. This is what RT said, citing Peskov. Kremlin spokesman Dmitry Peskov did not deny the accusations outright. We have seen this report. It is not every time that this kind of information is true, he told RIA Novosti on Monday. Iran is our important partner. We are developing our trade and economic relations, including the most sensitive areas, and we will continue to do this in the interests of the peoples of our two countries. Not quite a denial from the Kremlin. This is Limassol, everybody. I thought I would come up to this rooftop and show everybody the city of Limassol. I don't think I've ever done a video from up high, have I? All right, so that is the situation with these Iranian short-range ballistic missiles. Let's go to Trump. What is happening post-debate? Trump is saying that he is not going to agree to another debate, to a second debate. It looks like Kamala Harris wants a second debate because she feels like she won. That is how she feels. That is what her team is sensing, that they won the debate. So they're saying, let's go for another one. And it looks like Trump is, right now, he is saying, nope, no debate. So there are a lot of analysts saying that Trump should not do a second debate. There are a lot of analysts saying that Trump should do a second debate because Trump will be able to basically do what he did to Biden, something along those lines, get Kamala to really mess up and to deliver a knockout punch to Kamala like he did with Biden. But I mean, that's the thinking of people telling Trump to take a second debate. A second debate. I say no. I say he shouldn't do a second debate because I don't think he's going to catch Kamala in the way that he caught Biden. I don't think that's going to happen. I mean, what's the best case scenario for Trump to deliver a knockout blow to Kamala, whatever. You get her to laugh, you get her to cackle, right? Something like that. Is that really going to make the difference? I mean, what happened to Biden was a complete cognitive meltdown, but you're not going to get that with Kamala. So I think that's your best case scenario. And even if you have a second debate and you really defeat Kamala, it's not going to move the needle at all. So I just don't see a reason for a second debate from either of the two sides, to be quite honest. But Kamala may benefit from a second debate because maybe it's her way of appearing to the American people without having to do interviews. So now she can brush off interviews because she's feeling comfortable in the debate format. So now she can say, why do you want me to do interviews? You guys keep on telling me I should do interviews and interviews. Look, I've done one debate. I'm going to do a second debate. So maybe this is her way of coming out of hiding. So maybe it benefits her team, and they can avoid doing interviews with a very friendly mainstream media. But for Trump, I don't see how it benefits him. I don't think he's going to be able to deliver that knockout blow to Kamala. I just don't think it's there. With Biden, it was there. With her, I just don't see it. Unless, of course, I would do this. If I was the Trump team, I would say, look, we'll do a second debate, but Fox News has to moderate. If Fox News does not moderate, no second debate, period. That's it. No compromise. And even with Fox News, are you sure you're going to get honest moderators, even with Fox News moderators? I'm not so convinced, man. But anyway, that would be my take on this situation. Time Magazine is kind of a clown world, but I'll talk about it now. Time Magazine, they put out a cover with Trump on the golf course, stuck in the sand, and they say in trouble after the debate. Yeah, right. He's not in trouble, man. I think people have already forgotten about the debate, man, honestly. Give it another 2-3 days. Everyone's going to move on. It was non-eventful. The debate was non-freaking eventful. Anyway, Germany. Germany has demolished Schengen. That's right, the free movement of people, of Europeans across Europe, across Schengen member states in the EU. That's over, man. That is over. Germany has submarined the Schengen zone, which was like a key pillar of the European Union. It's basically what made the European Union bearable, is the fact that you can travel to other EU countries that are in the Schengen zone without passports or visas or stuff like that. Free movement of people. That made the European Union barely bearable, but now Germany's demolished that, and they said that they're not going to take part in Schengen for 6 months because of migration. They can't control the migration anymore, and they have to start putting border controls. And the only reason Germany's doing this, the only reason Scholz is doing this is because he got a thumping in the EU Parliament elections. He got a thumping in Thuringia and Saxony, and they're calling on him to step down as leader of the SPD. And he has to do this out of fear of the rise of AfD. So that's why he's announcing the suspension of Schengen. But still, it's a big deal. It shows that Schengen really is not that meaningful. It's really not that binding, is it? A country can suspend Schengen anytime. And remember, Schengen is the key pillar of the European Union. Anyway, that's interesting news from Germany. Let's do some clown worlds. We have, in this clown world, Vovan and Lexus. That's right, Vovan and Lexus. They have pranked, thank you, USA Sikorsky. Vovan and Lexus, they got Radoslav Sikorsky. And he said some interesting things, and I'll get to what he said, but really what he said is not so important. That's not the clown world. What he said is not the clown world. The clown world is that Vovan and Lexus, they pranked Sikorsky by saying that they are Petro Poroshenko. Oh, will they ever learn? Will they ever learn? How many times have I said it? Guys in the collective West, leaders of the collective West, if someone calls you claiming to be Petro Poroshenko, 99.9999999% chance it's not Petro Poroshenko. Oh my God. Anyway, he fell for it. Why are they so eager to talk to Petro Poroshenko, by the way? Why are collective West leaders so excited to talk to Petro Poroshenko? I don't understand it. He's not president of Ukraine anymore. He's just an oligarch chocolate maker. Maybe they think Poroshenko is going to give them free chocolate or something. Oh, it's Petro Poroshenko. He might give me some free chocolate bars. I don't know. Oh my God. So what did thank you USA Sikorsky, the man that sent out perhaps one of the worst timed, dumbest tweets in all of history. 5 minutes after Nord Stream was blown up, Sikorsky puts out a tweet saying thank you USA with a picture of the water from Nord Stream bubbling up, the gas rising out of the sea from the Nord Stream pipeline sabotage. He's not the sharpest knife in the drawer, Sikorsky. He's a neocon. He's a neocon through and through, but he's not one of the bright neocons, that's for sure. He was in Maidan in 2014, along with John McCain and who else? Wasn't Guy Verhofstadt? He was also in Kiev in Maidan. All of these guys, when they descended to Kiev in 2014, so they could finish the coup d'état. He was there. Newland passing out cookies. Anyway, he did say a couple of interesting things because he thought he was speaking to Petro Poroshenko. These guys, man. He's met Poroshenko. I put money on it that he's met Poroshenko. Don't you know what Petro Poroshenko sounds like? Bro, what's wrong with you? Anyway, he said that the U.S. cannot pull out of Ukraine. He said it can't pull out of Ukraine because this would damage the USA's rep. That's what he said. He said if the U.S. pulls out of Project Ukraine, then other allies will look at the U.S. and be like, bro, you let us down, USA, bro. You told us as long as it takes, and now you're pulling out. You shouldn't be pulling out. You should be staying in. Oh, man. Yeah, like the USA cares about their rep with Europe. They own Europe, man. They control Europe. What do they care? They own all of the EU member states. They own them from top to bottom. Financially, socially, media, everything. They own the whole thing. What do they care about their rep inside of Europe? Give me a break. But that's what he said. And he also said, I think this was the most interesting statement that he made to fake Poroshenko. He said that he's got the inside info on Trump's plan to end the war in Ukraine. And he said that he wants to threaten Russia to get to a better deal in Ukraine. He basically said that Trump is going to threaten Russia, threaten Putin, and that's what's going to put an end to the conflict in Ukraine, which is nonsense. I don't believe this for a second. I don't believe it for a second. That's got to be the dumbest end the conflict in Ukraine rumor that I've heard to date, that Trump is going to threaten Putin, and that's how he's going to put an end to the conflict. Anyway, that is what Sikorsky said to fake prank Poroshenko. And finally, we have, since we're talking about Trump, Biden was at a 9/11 event, and I thought this was AI, but apparently this is not AI. Maybe this is artificial intelligence. If this is artificial intelligence, then I apologize. But from what I understand, this is not artificial intelligence. But Biden was at a 9/11 event, and he was given a Trump 2024 hat during the event, the anniversary of 9/11, and he put the hat on, and he was very happy as he put the hat on, and he allowed people to take photos of Biden wearing a Trump 2024 hat. Once again, if this is AI, then just forget about this Clown World segment. But from what I understand, this is not AI. But it's hard to believe. It really is hard to believe. And this is the guy that they're telling us. They're telling us this is the guy that is going to sit down with Blinken and decide whether the United States attacks Russia. This is the guy that's going to make that decision. A guy that puts on a Trump 2024 hat and allows everyone to take photos. And he's happy about it. He's like posing with this hat. Okay, maybe he thought it was a clever joke, but it doesn't look like a clever joke. Anyway, that's the video, everybody. I think I will end it there. TheDuran.locals.com. We are on Rumble, ODYSEE, BitChute, Telegram, Rockfin, and Twitter X. And go to the Duran shop. Pick up some merch like the Greek flag t-shirt I'm wearing today. You will find a link in the description box down below. Take care.